All advanced civilizations pass through a period of enlightenment. Some even survive it. Thomas Fleming. I start with this quote about the Enlightenment because it is precisely in the Enlightenment and the changes in thinking that it brought that are the foundations of our debate between capitalism and socialism. And these assumptions have gone unexamined because they are simply accepted as dogmatic truth. Today, we are going to look at how one of those assumptions in particular functions in capitalism, why socialism fails as a solution to that problem, and how distributism is the path toward real economic freedom. I think both sides can agree that there are problems in the world today that need to be addressed. And I think we can all agree that we want real economic freedom and prosperity for as many people as possible. We just disagree about how to get there. So, about me, I am not ashamed to say that I am a Catholic. It is my Catholic faith that informs my worldview, especially on this topic. So in order to accomplish our goal, first we're going to go into capitalism, then we will go into the socialist proposal, followed by distributism and its examples. First, capitalism. The capitalist narrative says that because it is a free market system, it has brought unprecedented wealth and prosperity. And to a certain extent, this is true. The world has a lot more wealth than it did before capitalism came into being. But is it a really, truly free market system? First, we need to define what a free market is, and even before that, what freedom is. It was John Locke in his second treatise on government who first formally redefined freedom as the mere absence of restraint. So what does this look like in free market capitalism? This means that a free market is a market free from government interference. How does this look like in practice? Let's take the game of Monopoly, which we are all familiar with, a game that was created to teach kids capitalism. We all know how the game ends. It ends when one person owns all of the properties on the board and all of the other players are bankrupt. That is pure capitalism. So let that sink in. There is no getting around it. And the proponents of socialism rightly point out this fundamental problem. G.K. Chesterton put it this way: capitalism is contradictory as soon as it is complete, because it is dealing with the mass of men in two opposite ways at once. When most men are wage earners, it is more and more difficult for most men to be customers. The capitalist wants the same man to be rich and poor at the same time. So what about the socialist proposal? Socialists say that let's take all of that wealth, all of that capital, and place it in the hands of government politicians. And this sounds like a good idea because, after all, aren't our politicians supposed to be our servants and act in our best interests? Hilaire Belloc pointed out two problems with this. First, the majority of people desire at least some level of independence. Also, politics is a dirty business, and many gain political office by less than honest means. So socialism means that all of a sudden, these corrupt politicians are supposed to become selfless and virtuous in dealing with the economy. And that simply doesn't happen. In fact, where socialism has been put into practice, we see this mass corruption. The Wall Street Journal noted that well over 100 million people have died under socialist regimes. And that doesn't include those who have died in wars related to socialism. So if socialism, all it does is transfer power from a few corporate elites to corrupt politicians. So it doesn't change the power structure that is really the problem. The solution is what is called distributism. Distributism is based on Catholic social teaching, and it revolves around three principles: the just wage, subsidiarity, and solidarity. The just wage simply means that a man earns enough to support himself and his family in their necessities, have a little bit left over for small luxuries, as well as savings. Subsidiarity means all decisions are made at the lowest practical level. Solidarity means that all decisions take into account others, that we are not just making decisions for ourselves, that we recognize all of our decisions affect other people. There are actually examples of distributism very close to home. Winco is an employee-owned company. Idaho Central Credit Union is member-owned. CapEd Credit Union also is member-owned. Let's take a recent example of solidarity in action from Idaho Central Credit Union. With the government shutdown, and when these workers missed their paychecks, Idaho Central Credit Union stepped in and said, we are going to issue all those affected workers $5,000 interest-free loans against future paychecks, regardless of membership. That is solidarity in action. Can you imagine Bank of America, or US Bank, or Wells Fargo stepping in to do this very same thing? No, they would not, because they are not small enough and they are not member-owned. They have no solidarity, just business interests. Now that we have looked through capitalism, its problems, socialism, and how it fails as a solution, and how distributism is the way toward real economic freedom, I would like you to write down one thing that you can do to bring distributism into action. All advanced civilizations pass through a period of enlightenment. Some even survive it. We have the power to be able to not only survive,